Hi everyone, Claire Hedin here. We are now presenting CalConCon 2. So some of you who are watching this video have already supported the first incarnation of our initiative, which is to incorporate the rights of nature, to protect certain civil rights. That is all very evident on the other page. But we have actually been having a lot of success with creating allies and joining forces with other people, of course, because this initiative is about celebrating the dignity of all life and people's rights to have access to healthy nature, people's rights to love and marry who they want to love and marry, nature's rights to celebrate herself, to be able to regenerate in her own natural cycles. So what we found though is that there are more people that we want to include in this initiative, because this initiative really is to protect and represent the voices of the many, which is basically the 99%. So the 1% are doing just fine, thank you very much, Mr. Trump. But they don't need our help. There is everybody else that needs representation in the US Constitution, including, by the way, the right to leave. That is basic and fundamental. If you think about it, you wouldn't marry someone if we didn't know how to get divorced. You wouldn't take a job if you couldn't leave the job legally. No one would hire you if there weren't legal steps to get rid of you, right? If you sucked at your job. And you can't even leave the tarmac of an airport, without going through the federal law regulations of here are the exits. So as far as secession goes, that's just a given that we need to contemporize this US Constitution so that people around the country can do what's best for them. And if the federal government are not representing their ideals and not taking care of them, look at Puerto Rico right now, for instance, then we need to know that we have the wherewithal to peacefully and reasonably leave this union and do the best thing for ourselves as any given state. So that's already in the old initiative, but the new version, the CalConCon 2.0 version, is on its way, and we can't amend the one that's filed already. We have to resubmit, but we want to do that because we think these new points are important enough to include in the new initiative. CalConCon 2.0. So the three main points are under the subject of business, Native American nations, and deaf, blind communities and able-bodied communities. Able-bodied into the degrees of disable-bodiedness. So businesses, 3 points there. We're going to make CEOs or their equivalent personally liable for civil damages, for environmental damages. When you do that, oh my goodness, watch how quickly the behaviors change, right? Because as it stands currently, and this is one of the second points, corporations are LLCs, limited liability. What that means is, in terms of the corporate personhood, is that they're not liable. Nobody suffers. The company, which is an entity that kind of exists here in the ethers, they might be sued, but the people within it feel protected. They're not going to go to jail or to prison. So that changes with this initiative, with these additional amendments that we want to put in and refile because of. You remove the LLC from corporations, you remove that part of their personhood, and they can't hide in the legal system. They're not going to be protected legally. This is good news. And then finally, the other piece is, as some of you might know already, corporations typically have a legal responsibility to maximize profit no matter what the other costs, the externals they're called, to the environment or to civil rights or to cultures and whatnot. Their responsibility is with the shareholders, maximize profit for shareholders and stakeholders. So what this does is it changes that around, and so they will have a primary legal responsibility to protect the environment first. Profits will no longer be first. Think about that. Yes, we want that. We want that so badly, right? Okay, Native American nations. We want to create a space at the Constitutional Convention so that representatives from Native American communities from around the country can show up, represent, speak up, make their demands. as we all know, Native American rights have been violated from the beginning. Agreements and treaties have been made that have been violated from the beginning. It is a totally unsustainable, unethical situation. It cannot continue. That changes now. That changes at this Constitutional Convention with this initiative. Without this being in the initiative, those rights will get ignored. They will be further violated. What will happen, just in case there's any doubts about this, if this initiative is not in the Constitutional Convention, this new US Constitution that will be made is going to represent only the corporation's needs and wants. So their personhood gets put into the Constitution. It's no longer just a legal thing. It's like in the document that everything goes by for the whole country. We do not want that. We will have Standing Rock 24/7 on all of our land. We do not want that, okay? So we must press for this. Restorative justice for the Native American communities, for all violations of the treaties, for the disrespect of diverse cultures, for the disrespect of spiritual practices. And they will decide their own terms. That's the point. We want to get out of the way, and we want to invite the Native American communities and nations to come in, self-determine, self-represent, and make sure that we get it right this time. Okay, so that's the invitation. Third point, that's 2, 3. Third point, so the deaf, blind, able-bodiedness to the varying degrees. We want them to have the right to social inclusivity. A lot of us don't know this, but for the people, for instance, there are 70 million deaf people in the world, right? So I'm not sure what the percentage is in the US, but it's going to be high because we have a high population. They are not included. They're not included in the design of infrastructure. They're not included completely in education, transportation, health choices, workplace, public use, planning, any kind of planning. They are this sort of add-on voice. So then you'll see people doing ASL, American Sign Language, at conventions, like at large enough scale things or in smaller community events. But it is not typical, and it needs to be made typical, that the voice of the deaf, the blind, the able-bodied, and to the varying degrees, the less able-bodied, need to know that their voice is standard, that they're not an afterthought. They need to have the opportunity, the right to establish their own level of dignity by their own definitions. And so that needs to be constitutional, that needs to be in the conversation, because they are part of our fabric. So the main thing is this CalConCon 2.0 is well worth supporting. We want to speak up for everybody, and that includes you. So whether you donate $5, $10, $100, $500, $1,000, or the whole $2,000, you will be known for your contributions, for your support. We absolutely want you to read the content that we have produced, and we have included the fully amended document here for your review with the highlighted section for these additional amendments that will cost that money. But if everybody gives a little bit, it's so easy to do. And we want to do this soon. All right. So thanks for listening. Love you. Really glad you're here. Really glad you're on board. Please share this campaign and let's get that money rolling in really, really fast. We need to get this filed soon so that we make the November 2018 ballot. Thank you very much.